Good morning, dear students. Today we shall consider some extra information, the extra formulae which are related to moving charges and magnetism, which are very much required from competitive point of view, from competitive examination point of view. Okay. So now let me consider one by one. So first let me take a deviation of a charged particle in a magnetic field, See, let there be a magnetic field which is acting perpendicular to plane of this board and into this board. A charged particle Q enters this magnetic field, so with certain velocity v. So you know that since the magnetic field is acting perpendicular to this motion of a charged particle, the charged particle experiences a force, and this force makes the charged particle to move along a circular path. See, this is the deviation of the charged particle. If I take this angle as theta, say actual path is this one. See, because of that it got deviated. See, let me take R be the radius of the circular path, and if x is the length of the magnetic field, then the deviation of charged particle in the magnetic field is given by theta is equal to omega t. This is one relation, theta is equal to omega t, where omega is angular frequency. This is equal to bq by m into t. See, R we can calculate this using theta is equal to sine inverse of, using sine theta we can calculate this. Sine theta is equal to sine inverse of x by r, where x is the length of the magnetic field and r is the radius. Okay, this is one thing. See, then when a charged particle started moving along a circular path, you know that mv square by r is equal to bqe. The centripetal force is being provided by the magnetic force. See, therefore we can write, so using this we can write v is equal to bqr divided by m. R we can write, and hence therefore kinetic energy of the charged particle is given by k is equal to half mv square. So when you simplify this, you will be getting k is equal to v square q square r square divided by 2m. This is the kinetic energy associated with the charged particle. Similarly, if you want to calculate what is the linear momentum of the charged particle is given by P is equal to m into v. See, this is equal to b into q into r. See, this is the linear momentum. And then radius of the circular path is given by r is equal to m into v divided by b into q. See, what is time period of revolution? See, we can rewrite this See, this can be written like this: BQ by M is equal to V by R. V by R. See, this is, I indicate this by omega. Omega is equal to V by R, where omega is called angular frequency. We know that V is equal to R omega. See, therefore, omega is equal to V by R. See, this implies omega is equal to BQ by M. So, you know that omega is given by 2 pi nu. 2 pi nu. See, therefore, 2 pi nu is equal to BQ by M. See, therefore, frequency is given by BQ divided by 2 pi M. 2 pi M. See, this is the frequency of revolution. See, if you want to know what is the period of revolution, period of revolution is given by 1 by nu. Reciprocal of frequency is called period. See, therefore, it is equal to 2 pi M divided by BQ. See, here period of revolution does not depend on the speed or velocity of the particle. Velocity of the particle. See, now let me consider what is the force acting on two moving charges in the magnetic field. Okay. Here I have taken only one charged particle moving in the magnetic field. See, what is the force acting between any two charged particle, say like charges, both are positive charges. What is the force acting between them? Force acting on charged particles moving in a magnetic field. Force acting on charged particles moving in a magnetic field. See, this is the magnetic field. So let me consider a charged particle Q1 moving with a velocity V1, and we have another charged particle Q2 moving with a velocity V2. The force between the two charged particles and their distance of separation, I just take it as R. R is the distance of separation between them in a magnetic field B. The force due to magnetic field acting between them is given by mu naught by 4 pi Q1 into Q2 V1 into V2 divided by R square. See, this is the force of attraction between them. We have taken like charges. See, if they are unlike charges, there will be force of repulsion between them. Okay. So now let me compare this force, say, with electrostatic force. Okay. See, before that we can even represent this in a vector form. In a vector form we can write the force due to magnetic field acting on them, F is equal to mu naught by 4 pi Q1 into Q2 by R cube. V1 cross R. So we can even write like this. In a vector form it can be put like this. Suppose electrostatic force, let us compare electrostatic force, comparison between electrostatic and magnetic force. The electrostatic force between two charged particles is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 into q2 by r square. Okay, assuming that momentarily the charged particle at rest, we can apply Coulomb's law and we can write like this. And we already know what is the magnetic force. Magnetic force is given by mu naught by 4 pi q1 q2 into v1 v2 by r square. See, this is the magnitude of magnetic force. Now let us divide one by the other. Fe by Fm, electrostatic by magnetic force. See here what remains. 1 by mu naught into epsilon naught, 1 by mu naught into epsilon naught, these terms got cancelled. 1 by v1 into v2, v1 into v2. But you know that speed of light in air or vacuum is given by 1 by root of mu naught into epsilon naught. See, when you put the value for mu naught, 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7, when you put the value for mu naught, one by mu naught into epsilon naught. So when you put the value for mu naught, what is mu naught? 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. What is epsilon naught? 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12. So when you simplify them, see, you are going to get C. So you are going to get, actually, say this value comes out to be 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So which is nothing but C. See, therefore 1 by mu naught into epsilon naught gives you C square. Therefore, on simplification, you are going to get F electrostatic force by F magnetic force is equal to C square divided by V1 into V2. Since C square is greater than V1 into V2, which implies electrostatic force naturally greater than magnetic force. Hence, what is the conclusion from this? When you consider two charged particles moving parallel to each other, separated by a distance r, then electrostatic force between them dominates over magnetic force. See, therefore, due to magnetic force there will be attraction, due to electrostatic force there will be a repulsion. Here electrostatic force is greater than magnetic force, hence the two charges which are moving along the same direction repel each other. Okay, charges will repel each other. If these charges moves in opposite direction, there will be repulsion. There will be magnetic force of repulsion. If you consider two charges moving in opposite direction, okay, naturally there will be magnetic force of repulsion, and the electrostatic force of repulsion always be there. See, therefore they repel each other. See, here both FMG and F electrical are repulsive. If there is one positive charge, another one negative charge, then there will be magnetic force of repulsion. naturally there will be repulsion, because already electrostatic force is attractive but magnetic force is repulsive. Since electrostatic force is dominates over magnetic force, though there is a repulsion, there will be attraction. Electrostatic force attracts each other. Here if you take one is positive charge Q, positive, and another one is negative charge minus Q, they are moving along the same direction. Here there will be a force of attraction. Electrostatic force is attraction but magnetic force is repulsion. Net force is attraction, therefore there will be net attraction. Net attraction. Net attraction. Here in both these cases there will be net repulsion. In this case there will be net attraction. Have you got it? Even if it moves in an opposite direction, there is a magnetic, there will be magnetic force of attraction. Electrostatic force of attraction is there, therefore there will be again net attraction. Have you got it? See, these are some of the important cases related with this topic. So now let me take up the force experienced by a current carrying conductor kept in the magnetic field. So you know that if there is a current carrying conductor and this current carrying conductor is kept in a magnetic field, it experiences a force, and that force is given by BIL sin theta. And if theta is equal to 0 or 180 degree, if theta is 0 or 180 degree, which implies force is 0, no force acts on the current carrying conductor. If a conductor is kept parallel to the field direction, if the direction of current and magnetic field direction are same, so in such a case it doesn't experiences any force. However, it experiences maximum force when theta is 90 degree. So when the conductor is kept perpendicular to magnetic field, it experiences a maximum force which is given by F is equal to BIL. We also come across Biot-Savart's law, and you know that magnetic field at a point, due to a current carrying conductor, the length of the current element is dl, the angle between them is theta, then dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal sin theta divided by r square. So using this relation we have proved that magnetic field at any point at the center of current carrying conductor, current carrying coil is given by B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi Ni divided by R. 2 pi Ni divided by R. Suppose if you take a point along the axis, if the point lies along the axis, in such a case magnetic field is given by B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi Ni R square divided by, if this distance is x and this is R. So in such a case we can write R square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2. See, this is the relation we have derived. So let us use these three relations in certain special cases. Okay. See, if the conductor is not having this particular specific shape, then using these relations, how we can write the expression for magnetic field produced by a current carrying loop or current carrying arc. Okay. First let me take up magnetic field due to magnetic field at a point due to a current carrying straight wire. Magnetic field magnetic field at a point due to a long straight wire carrying current. We have a conductor carrying current I. So let there be a point P. Which is at a distance r. Okay. Now I join these two ends. So let me take this angle as one is theta 1, another one theta 2. This is theta 1, this is theta 2. So then we can write B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by r, this is r, I by r sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. See, this is the relation for magnetic field at a point due to a current carrying long straight wire. Suppose if the wire is of infinite length, we shall take the wire is of infinite length. If the wire is of infinite length, say in such a case, say what is the relation, what you are going to get. See theta 1 comes out to be how much? Theta 1 is equal to theta 2 is equal to 90 degree. See, therefore B becomes equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by r into sin 90 plus sin 90. Sin 90 is 1. See, therefore you will be getting mu naught by 4 pi 2I by r. R you can write mu naught into I divided by 2 pi r. It is given by mu naught I divided by 2 pi r. So let me consider a wire of finite length. For a wire of finite length carrying current. I just take a length of the conductor carrying current as L. Okay, this length I take it as L. Point P is here. Theta 1, theta 2. See, this becomes L by 2. This also becomes L by 2. See here, theta 1 is equal to theta 2 is equal to theta. What is sin theta? What is this value? This becomes equal to r square plus L square by 4. Sin theta becomes L by 2 divided by root of r square plus L square by 4. Now you just simplify this. So you will be getting sin theta is equal to L divided by root of 4r square plus L square. You just substitute in the equation, this equation, B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi, if I is the current, 2I by r into sin theta mu naught by 4 pi I by r 2L divided by root of 4r square plus L square. This is B. Okay. So now I just take the case wherein the point is at one end. The point is at one end of a straight conductor. Say this is a conductor. Point P is somewhere here. So in this case, see here, theta 1 is equal to 90 degree and theta 2 is equal to 0. See, therefore B becomes equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by r sin 90 plus sin 0. See, therefore this becomes mu naught by 4 pi I by r. I by r. This is the important result. See, based on these results we shall solve some problems. Okay, so we shall take some examples so that we can understand how they can be used. Let me take few examples. Example: a square loop is carrying the current. A square loop is carrying the current in clockwise direction. So you have to find what is the magnetic field at the center. PQRS is the square loop carrying the same current I. See, O is the point at which you have to determine magnetic field. See, here what I do is I just take this angle, only one part. What is this angle? 45 degree. This is also 45 degree. And what is this distance? This distance is A by 2. This is also 45 and the distance is A by 2. Consider current flowing in part PS. You can write B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by r. What is the relation? Sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. You have to use this relation. So mu naught by 4 pi I, in place of r you must write A by 2 sin 45 plus sin 45. See, this becomes mu naught by 4 pi 2i by a. So sin 45 is 1 by root 2. See, therefore 1 by root 2 plus 1 by root 2. So you will be getting 2 by root 2, or simply 2 by root 2. 2 by root 2 becomes equal to root 2. See, therefore in the place of this we can get root 2. Mu naught by 4 pi 2 root 2 into I divided by A. See, this is a magnetic field due to one part. See, there are 4 parts are there. Net magnetic field at O is equal to 4 times this value. 4 into mu naught by 4 pi 2 root 2 into I divided by A, 2 root 2. So you will be getting the distance here is what is the magnetic field relation? You please simplify this and you will be getting (8√2) mu naught by 4 pi 8√2 into I divided by A. Two by root 2 sine 45 plus sine 45. So this comes out to be this. Now let me take up another problem related to this. So we have a current carrying wire which is bent in the form of a triangle. If a thin wire of length 1 meter is bent into an equilateral triangle and carries a current of root 3 ampere in anti-clockwise direction. In anti-clockwise direction. Find the net magnetic field at the centroid of the triangle. See here, a wire is bent like this. Let me say current is flowing in this direction, I. I just take this angle. What is this angle? This is equal to 60 degree. This is also 60 degree. And let the side is A. See what is its value? If I take this as ACD, DM. See what is the value of DM? See here, I take this distance as R. Here R is equal to A by 2 root 3. See, when you apply the formula, net magnetic field is equal to 3 times magnetic field related to each side. So I have taken only one side. 3 into B of the side is mu naught by 4 pi I by r sin 60 plus sin 60. Sin 60 plus sin 60. So you will be getting sin 60 is root 3 by 2 mu naught by 4 pi. This is 3 into 2, 6 into 6i into sin 60, and what is a? So r is a by 2 root 3, a by 2 root 3. Sin 60 is root 3 by 2. This 3 goes there. So therefore mu naught by 4 pi 18i say divided by a. This is b. And what is the value of I? I is equal to b is equal to mu naught by 4 pi is 10 raised to minus 7. 18 into I value is root 3. And the wire of length 1 meter. 1 meter is bent. See, therefore it is 1/3 value. 1/3 of meter. A wire of length 1 meter. Therefore it is 1/3 of it. So when you substitute that, so you are going to get 54 into root 3 into 10 raised to minus 7 Tesla. See, this is magnetic field at the centroid. Magnetic field at the center, because the length of this wire is 1 meter. See, it is bent into equal parts. Therefore 1/3 of meter. I take a is equal to 1/3 of meter. So when you simplify that, you will be getting 24 into root 3 into 10 raised to minus 7 Tesla. Let me take another problem. Where we have hexagon carrying current. It is carrying current. We have to find what is the magnetic field due to the current flowing through the hexagon. Each side is A. You want to find what is the magnetic field at the center. See, here I just take this as AC. See, this is also equal to A. And what is the angle here? 30 degree. This is A by 2. A by 2. Then magnetic field at O. Magnetic field at O is V net is equal to 6 times magnetic field due to a side. 6 times mu naught by 4 pi I by r sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. 6 into mu naught by 4 pi I by, what is r here? R is A, sin 30 plus sin 30. Sin 30 is 1 by 2. See, therefore you will get 1 here. Hence the relation becomes mu naught by 4 pi 6 into I divided by A. See, this is the net magnetic field at the center. See, this cannot be A. See, you must take it as R. See, here it becomes, if you take tan 30 is equal to opposite side A by 2 by adjacent side R is equal to A by 2 tan 30. See, therefore root 3 by 2 into A. So therefore in the place of this, root 3 by 2 into A. So you will be getting 12 here, 12 root 3a 12i. Now you please simplify this. Root 3 by 2, 6 into 12, again, right. So when you divide this, you will be getting, when you simplify, so you will be getting 3 times 3 into mu naught I divided by pi into root 3 into pi a. This can be written as root 3 into mu naught I by pi a. See, that way we can simplify that. So we shall take 2 more problems related to the same concept. These are all standard problems. A long straight wire, a long straight wire, a long straight wire carrying current bent in the shape of L, bent in the L shape, bent in the L shape. Find magnetic field at P. See here, so P is somewhere here. The distance here is taken as A. Okay, what is this angle? Say this is, let me take it as theta 1, this is theta 2. See, the current is flowing here, I, same current flows here. See, therefore, first let us take, see, current are in the same direction, therefore net magnetic field is equal to magnetic field produced due to this segment and this segment, B1 plus B2. First let me take B1. What is the magnitude of B1? This is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by A sine of so you will be getting, say this one for this particular segment. Other angle is 90. Sine of 90 minus theta 1, 90 minus theta 1 plus sine 90. Here the angle is 90. So theta 1 is, this particular angle is 90 minus theta 1. So this is B1 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by A cos theta 1 plus 1 and beta, and if you take b2 is given by mu naught by 4 pi I by a sin of 90 minus theta 2, and here the other angle is 90 plus sin 90. So this is also mu naught by 4 pi I by a cos theta 2 plus 1. Now you just add them, beta b2 b1 plus b2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by a cos theta 1 plus cos theta 2 plus 2. Here what is theta 1 and theta 2? Here theta 1 is equal to theta 2 is equal to 45. See, therefore you will be getting mu naught by 4 pi I by a 2 by root 2 plus 2. This is 1 by root 2 plus 1 by root 2 gives you 2 by root 2. 2 by root 2 is root 2. Therefore b net is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 root 2 2 plus root 2 into I divided by a. We shall take another interesting problem. There are two segments. PRO, PRL. This is O. MSQ. See, this is along x-axis. Here they ask you to find out what is the net magnetic field at O. Find net magnetic field at O. See, here current passing through the segment is same. See, when you take LR and MS, they are along the axis. So when you take a conductor carrying current, if there is any point here along the axis, magnetic field at some point, if the point is P, magnetic field here is 0. Why? Because when you take Biot-Savart's law, this is I into dl cross r cap divided by r square. See, at P, see here angle is 0. Between current element and the radius vector, angle is 0. Sin 0 is 0. In a cross product, sin theta will come. See, therefore here dl cross r cap equal to 0. See, therefore dB is equal to 0. Hence, when you take a current flowing in LR and MS, they are along the axis. Point O is on the axis. Therefore, magnetic field at O due to current flowing in these two parts is 0. Since O lies on axis of segments LR and MS, LR and MS, magnetic field equal to 0. Magnetic field due to them is 0. So now let us consider magnetic field only due to this segment PR and QS. Magnetic field at O due to segments PR and QS is B net is equal to 2 times B. What is B here? 2 into mu naught by 4 pi. Say here, say this is at one end. So therefore angle is 90, other end is 0. So therefore you are going to get mu naught by 4 pi I by OS or R. If I take this distance as R, okay, it is equal to R. So this comes out to be mu naught by 4 pi 2I by R. So if you know the value for current and the distance, you can easily calculate what is its value. Okay. So let us consider magnetic field due to current carrying coil. So far we have considered straight conductor. Now let me take up magnetic field due to current carrying coil. We shall take up various problems related to this. Now let us take magnetic field at a point due to a current carrying coil. Let us take up certain special cases of this. See, this coil is carrying current I. See, therefore magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the coil and towards you. And what is its value? B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by R into 2 pi. I just write like 2 pi I by R, or I just write like this. Actually B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I divided by R. I write like this. Suppose we have a coil which subtends an angle theta. If it subtends an angle theta, so in such a case let me take this angle as theta. Okay, current I is flowing. Then what is the magnetic field here? If this is theta, the remaining angle is 2 pi minus theta. So therefore, in this case, B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by R into 2 pi minus theta. So we have current flowing in a semicircular loop. We want to know what is the magnetic field here. So when you take this point O is along the axis of AB and D. See, therefore due to current flowing in the segment AB and DE, magnetic field at O is 0 because the O lies along the axis of these two segments. Therefore, you must consider only current flowing through the semicircle, right? Semicircular path. Magnetic field due to here, magnetic field due to current flowing in AB and DE is 0. See, therefore, what is the magnetic field at the center? B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by R. What is the angle subtended here? Angle subtended is half. This is pi into pi. Here angle is pi, 180 degree. See, if you take this angle as pi. Or you can simplify and write like this: mu naught I divided by 4R. Let me take up two such semicircle carrying current. Okay, this is O, this is R1 and this is R2. I. We have to find what is the magnetic field at O. See, therefore, here current are in opposite direction. Since they are in opposite direction, net magnetic field, in this case current is in clockwise direction. Therefore, magnetic field is into the board. Here it is in anti-clockwise direction. Magnetic field due to the outer semicircle is towards you. Due to the inner semicircular path is into the board. See, therefore, what is net magnetic field? B1 minus B2. This is equal to mu naught I divided by 4, 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. See, this is net magnetic field. See, I am just using this relation. See, current flowing through these two segments here 0 because there lies along the axis. See, therefore, I am not considering this part and this part for contribution to magnetic field because they are lying on the axis. You must take only the semicircular path. Here magnetic field into the board. Here magnetic field towards you. See, therefore, net magnetic field is B1 minus B2. So now let me take up another case wherein, say, we have current flowing like this. Same current is flowing. Here current is in anti-clockwise direction. Therefore, the magnetic field is towards you. See, here the current is in clockwise direction. These two are in clockwise direction. So you must take this distance as R. This distance also R. See, therefore, what is net magnetic field? B net is equal to, if I take 1, 2, 3, B2, B1 plus B2 plus B3. See, here 1 and 3 are directed into the board, whereas 2 is towards you. So you must add them. you are going to get V1 is mu naught by 4 pi into I divided by R. See, this is V2, or I can take this is 2, 3, this is 1, V1 is given by this. V2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi, only one side is there. See, this is equal to I by R. V3 is also same, mu naught by 4 pi I by R. See here, this one, it is towards you, these two into the board. See, therefore what is the net magnetic field? Say when you take a net magnetic field, B is equal to, B net is equal to B1 minus B2 minus B3. You please take out mu naught I by 4 pi R, mu naught I by 4 pi R outside. See here, pi minus 2, you will be getting pi minus 2. Let us consider a few more examples related to current flowing in a coil and a straight wire. Okay, combination of both, so that you can clearly understand this. So we have a wire current flowing like this. This is I, this is I2, this is I4. Then I take it as 1, 2, 1, this is 2, 3, this part is 4, R. See here, current flowing due to segment 1 and 3 are 0, magnetic field due to current flowing in segment 1 and segment 3 are 0. 1 and 3 indicates the segments. This is one segment, this is another segment. The point O is along the axis. See, therefore current flowing in this particular segment and this particular segment does not produce magnetic field here, right, because it lies along the axis. We must consider only this one. See here, current direction is like this, it is towards you. In this case, current is into the board. See, therefore magnetic field due to current flowing in the segment 2 is given by mu naught by 4 pi I2 into pi divided by R. See, R, mu naught into I2 divided by 4R. And what about 4? V4 is equal to mu naught I4 divided by 4R. So what is the net magnetic field? Net magnetic field is mu naught by 4R I2 minus I4, or I2 difference I4. I4 minus I2 or I2 minus I4, whichever the greater, you must take it. You must take the difference. See, now let me consider the case the current is flowing like this. We have a coil also carrying current. O is the center. This is also carrying current. I. See, therefore here current is flowing in anti-clockwise direction due to this magnetic field is towards you. This is in clockwise direction. See, therefore magnetic field into it. See, therefore magnetic field due to these two segments is into the board, this segment and this segment, whereas magnetic field due to this coil out of the board towards you. So what is the net magnetic field? If I take this as 1, 3 and this is 2, magnetic field due to segment 1 and segment 3, here it is not equal to 0 because see, it is a straight wire, current is here, mu naught by 4 pi I by R. And what about this B2? B2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I divided by R. What is the net magnetic field? B net is equal to B2 minus B1 minus B3. B net is equal to, what is common in all these? Mu naught I divided by 4 pi R. First let me write down this. B net is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I by R minus 2 into mu naught by 4 pi I by R. You just take out mu naught 2I divided by 4 pi as common. See here 5 minus 1. Or when you simplify this, you are going to get mu naught I divided by 2 pi into pi minus 1. See, this is the net magnetic field at the center. Okay. See, if the current in this direction, instead of this, if the current is here, all got added up. Have you got it? If I reverse the current, then net magnetic field is B2 plus B1 plus B3. All of them get added up. Then the equation would be pi plus 1. Have you got it? It's in that way you have to understand. Usually there will be one problem in entrance examination of this type. Using Biot-Savart's law, we can find net magnetic field. Suppose we have situation like this, current is flowing like this and coming out. This is the center, this is R. This is R, this is also R. It carries a current I. Again, we have 3 segments, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Magnetic field due to, see here current is in anti-clockwise direction, all the current is in anti-clockwise direction, therefore net magnetic field gets added up. See here B1 is equal to B3 equals mu naught by 4 pi I by R. What is B2? B2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into I by R. Now write down the net magnetic field. B is net is equal to, all R gets added up, 2 into mu naught by 4 pi I by R. This is due to straight conductors, they got added up, plus mu naught by 4 pi into I by R. Now you just take out mu naught by 4 pi by I by R as common. So you are going to get 2 here, 2 plus pi. So the net magnetic field is given by this. We have another interesting problem. See, wherein the point O is here R. Let me take three segments, 1, 2, 3. Here the segment 1 and the point O lies along the axis of segment 1. Therefore, magnetic field O due to this segment is 0. Whereas magnetic field O at O due to this segment 3 is there, it exists. And also magnetic field at O due to current flowing in a semicircular segment also exists. See, therefore magnetic field due to segment 1 is 0. Magnetic field due to segment 2 is B2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi, as usual, what, pi into I divided by R. And what is B3? B3 is mu naught by 4 pi I by R. Now what is the net magnetic field? B net is equal to, you just take out mu naught I divided by 4 pi R as common, you are left with pi plus 1. Pi plus 1. Say here current in the same direction, see, therefore it gets added up. Let me consider the case wherein net magnetic field is 0. Okay, net magnetic field is 0. Suppose if there is a current carrying conductor point P, see, net magnetic field at P is 0. This point lies at a distance R. Magnetic field. Suppose if the current is flowing like this in a square, current enters here, then magnetic field at the center C is equal to 0. If we have a cube, and C is the center, current enters from one end I. See, this is I by 3, I by 3, I by 3. See, here also magnetic field at the center is 0. If you take a cylindrical structure, so wherein current enters here and current leaves this place, so C is the center, see, then magnetic field at the center is 0. See, these are all certain cases wherein the net magnetic field is equal to 0. So now we shall move on to magnetic field due to a current carrying solenoid. Magnetic field at a point due to a current carrying solenoid. Magnetic field due to a current carrying solenoid. See, here we have a solenoid, and I am not considering the ideal solenoid. An ideal solenoid is one which has infinite length. Here we have a solenoid of finite length. Let there be a point P here, and the angle with respect to two ends, see, I take this phi 2 and this as phi 1. It is carrying current I. So the magnetic field at P is given by mu naught Ni by 2 cos phi 1 minus cos phi 2. Okay, this is the general formula. Okay, magnetic field at any point along the axis of the solenoid. Magnetic field at any point along the axis of the solenoid, along the axis of the solenoid is given by this relation. If you take ideal solenoid, for ideal solenoid, say phi 1 is equal to 0 and phi 2 is equal to 180. Say if this is of infinite length, again angle decreases. Phi 1 nearly equal to 0 while phi 2 nearly becomes equal to 180 degree. See, in such a case, this is mu naught ni by 2 cos 0 minus cos 180. Cos 180 is minus 1, cos 0 is 1. See, therefore 1 minus of minus 1, 2. So you will be getting mu naught ni divided by 2 multiplied by 2 used to mu naught ni. See, this is we have obtained using Ampere circuital law. We arrive at the same result using Ampere circuital law. See, this can be derived using Biot-Savart's law. See, this equation can be derived using Biot-Savart's law, but we came to the same conclusion using Ampere circuital law by considering an ideal solenoid. Suppose if the point is at one end, for point P is at one end, of the solenoid, If point P is somewhere here, then phi 2 becomes equal to what? 90. Phi 1 is 0. Then phi 2 is equal to 90 degree and phi 1 is equal to 0. See, in such a case, V is equal to mu naught ni by 2 cos 0 minus cos 90. You know that cos 90 is 0, cos 0 is 1. Therefore, you are left with B is equal to mu naught ni by 2. So, in ideal solenoid, point P is taken to be midpoint of the solenoid along the axis. Okay. So, in such a case, you will be P is the midpoint. P is the midpoint in such a case for ideal solenoid. See, you will get this relation mu naught ni. Okay. And you know that for a toroid, see, toroid is a endless solenoid. When you join the ends of a solenoid, so you will get a ring-like structure, and the magnetic field due to a toroid can be derived using Ampere circuital law. For toroid, what is the magnetic field? V is equal to mu naught ni, where n is the number of turns per unit length. See, in case of a toroid, you know that magnetic field is present only inside the solenoid. If you take a point external to it, here or outside, the net magnetic field is 0. There is no magnetic field external to the solenoid, either inner region or outer region. Net magnetic field is always equal to 0. So now let me take up another simple problem related to this. Suppose if you have a solenoid carrying current and point P somewhere here, see it makes an angle, see this is 30 degree and this one is 120 degree. What is the magnetic field at P? Okay, let the current flowing through this is 0.5 ampere and number of turns per unit length is 1500 turns. Okay, they have given 1500 as number of turns per unit length. You have to find what is the magnetic field. B is equal to mu naught Ni by 2 cos phi 1 minus cos phi 2. So how much? 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. N is 1500. What is I? I is 0.5 ampere. 0.5 ampere divided by 2. This is cos 30 degree minus cos 120 degree. So you will be getting, see this is 2 pi, 2 pi is 6.28 into 750 into 10 raised to minus 7. See cos 30 is, this is cos 120, cos of 180 minus 60 cos 1. See this is 0.8660 plus minus of minus plus. Cos 60 is 0.5. You please simplify this. 6.28 into 7.5 into, so when you add this you will be getting 0.066 1.3 into 10 raised to minus 5 Tesla. Okay, so please simplify and you will express in terms of Tesla. So this is the magnetic field at any point along the axis of a solenoid of finite length. See, N is number of turns per unit length. Turns per meter, 1500 turns per meter. I have just mentioned turns. Please take it as turns per meter. So in the next session we shall take up what is the force between two current carrying conductors and also different situations related to that. Let me stop at this stage, continue in the next class. Thank you.